Discerning truth in a sea of lies. Live from Kalispell, Montana, it's Critical Disclosure Radio with your host, Jim White.
Okay, I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio. Thanks so much for joining me here today on the 16th day of March 2021. And we are coming to you live here from Kalispell, Montana, the last best place on earth, as the saying goes. And we got a lot of news to cover today. It's as usual. Every day is just one new interesting situation after another, to put it mildly. And today, of course, is no exception. We had the leader of Ukraine, apparently the installed puppet of Ukraine, Zelensky, speak in front of Congress today. And we're going to cover some of that and other things here on the broadcast. CriticalDisclosure.com, NorthwestLibertyNews.com, and we're broadcasting on several different platforms right now, including Brighteon Radio, Facebook, Rumble, Podbean, Twitch TV, YouTube for now until they kick me off. And I think that's all. Join us each weekday, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for the broadcast. And again, we appreciate you coming in. Let me see if it's going through YouTube. Make sure that's working properly. And I'll check this last feed, and then we'll get on down to business. Okay, there we go. It's on. Okay, so what I want to do first is, this is just going to be basically going over news and commentary and analyzing things that are going on based upon my perspective. I guess if that's something that you want to hear, you'll continue to tune in. If you don't, I guess you won't. But we're at such a crossroads in so many different areas right now. We are seeing, I believe, the narrative of the establishment that's been in place for, again, how many years, decades, hundreds of years, who knows, thousands of years, depends upon who you talk to. That narrative, regardless, is collapsing. I believe that it's becoming very, very apparent that they are frauds, and the whole thing is just a fraud, a big scam, a con. It's all a big con. History has been altered. Governments across the world have been taken over by elements of the establishment, I guess you could say. And folks, this is, if you're just kind of tuning in and kind of getting an idea of what's going on here, and you're shell shocked by what's going on in this world, and you're tuning into broadcasts like mine and others to kind of find out what's going on. All I can say to you is, from someone that's went through it and had been, I guess you could say, red-pilled or awake for quite some time now, don't try to take everything in at one time. It's overwhelming. There's a voluminous amount of information. The crimes that have been committed against us, and the lies, and the falsehoods, and the con. It's been going on for a long time. It's multifaceted. There's many people involved. So you're not going to be able to figure all this out anytime quickly. You're going to reach times when you're going to realize some things, and you're going to get some information, and it's going to feel like you've been punched in the gut, and you just don't know. Let me make sure that the audio is going on here. Good. Okay, it's good. So you feel like you've been punched in the gut, because the whole paradigm, everything that you've believed in, and you thought you believed in, and things that your parents perhaps told you, and teachers in school, not saying that they purposely deceived you, because they were deceived as well. But when some of these things, these long-held beliefs, and these institutions that have been, so relied upon and so trusted for so long, when information starts coming out and you're realizing that a lot of that is nothing but a fraud, and nothing but a propped up, an illusionary type of a situation that continues to designed to continue to keep us all in the lie. I mean, understand, that's the thing that's the reason that they're able to continue to well, until now, proliferate and continue to be successful is because people haven't really known the truth. They've never been given the truth. The truth has always been hidden from them. But when, you have whistleblowers coming out now, and you've got guys like James O'Keefe, wow, I can't say enough good things about that cat. I mean, he's just he's revolutionized, guerrilla journalism, I guess you could say, the stuff that he's been able to uncover, and the nut that he's been able to crack it in some of these meetings with these people, and with hidden microphones and hidden cameras, and it's just it's incredible what the guy's done, and I have my hats off to James O'Keefe, who's done a fantastic job. But that type of stuff that he does, and the more whistleblowers that come out, and insiders come out, and if you heard this Pfizer insider that came out and talked about their plan with the Pfizer vaccines and how they're going to incrementally do what they're going to do, I mean, it's diabolical. It's diabolical what's going on. So I'm believe it or not, despite everything that's going on. We should play a little Eyes by Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, despite what's going on right now, I'm optimistic. And the reason I say that is because the information that's coming out that is exposing the establishment is unprecedented in history of my lifetime. Remember, some of these things that go on, the reason that, again, they continue to go on and advance at such a level for so long is because it's all been secret. It's all been black ops or dark money, or done under the guise of a different program, or USAID, or whatever they call it, whatever front group they put out there. A lot of the stuff has been done behind the scenes, and people haven't been able to really get their mind around it or even understand it because it's been so hidden. Well, that was one of their greatest weapons that they had in their arsenal, was the hidden truth. Once these things come out as they are now, and once that, it's going to be like a dam breaking, because a lot of these elite scumbags and a lot of these criminal organizations are all interconnected, right? They sit on each other's boards, and they do business together with their companies, and they have friendly relationships with each other's governments. This is a global elite. This is an elite class, a super class, as I like to call themselves, and they essentially run most everything. Well, again, we've got them outnumbered. They have thousands of them and billions of us, and the billions of us, it sounds like, or it looks like, the billions of us are starting to finally come out of their slumber. That's why they have to continue, folks. You see, and I'm going to play some of these things here that are obvious. I hit some of these, I shouldn't play some of these things, I should say, but I hit some of these articles. It's obvious what they're trying to do. They're trying to, you've heard the saying, maybe you haven't, but in a war, one of the main objectives of a war is to win the hearts and minds of the country, the people, the men and women of the country. You want to win their hearts and minds, right? You want to get them on your side. You want them standing behind your efforts. Well, this is something that is still tried and true. It's nothing that doesn't change. Just think about the people that are in office right now. One of their main objectives, one of the main concerns that they have, and one of the things they put most of their efforts into, is getting reelected. So that is one of the main thrusts. When they get into office, they immediately set up a committee to be reelected again, and they spend a lot of time and energy and effort and money into doing that. So this is an important thing for them, staying in, basically staying in power, because it's not really about the money, because a lot of these people have lots of money when they go into, especially when you go into federal, when you go into federal service, civil service, or you'll become, your senators and representatives. Have you ever looked at the average wealth of these people? I mean, they're supposed to be drawn from a slice of Americana. Not so much. No, there's no one that lives in a tent in L.A. that I assure you that's sitting in Congress. But there's a lot of people sitting in tents in L.A., I have to say. And that's another whole... But I tell you could do how many shows on that. And I encourage you folks, if you... I don't even know the name of the YouTube channel. I'm sure there's several of them out there right now. YouTube, I don't even know if they have them on Brighteon. You might want to go on BitChute. You might want to go on Rumble. At any rate, go on there and do a search for tent cities in LA. And there'll probably be just several videos. As a matter of fact, go on Brighteon first and check out Brighteon. They host the show here. They host Critical Disclosure Radio. So I would encourage you to support them first. I don't know if they have them on there or not, but go to your favorite video channel and just type in and do a search for tent cities in LA, and just take a look at some of those videos. I mean, it looks like a war-torn country. You just can't believe that this is, we are the most prosperous country and the leader, world leaders. I mean, take a look at some of these inner cities and the way that these people live and the type of situations. I mean, you can go into California, and what type of a country who's a world leader legitimately has one of their largest cities or one of the largest counties, L.A., have now they've passed a law where you can steal up to $750 a day from the local merchants. That doesn't sound like a world leader to me. It sounds like a fraud. It sounds like that claim is fraudulent, which is pretty much par for the course for all of these crooks. Not every single one of them, but there's very few. There's very, very few people that get in that position that aren't there because either they're chosen to be there, they have they're power hungry and they're political climbers, or in some cases they've been blackmailed. And probably in most cases, eventually they probably all are blackmailed at some point. They get brown-stoned. And if you're not familiar with what brown-stoned is, they go to a party, they get newly elected to an office. They go to a party with some of their colleagues. Someone slips them a Mickey. They pass out. They wake up, and there's incriminating photos of them with, underage girls, underage boys doing things you wouldn't do to a farm animal. They have these photos, and then next thing you know, these guys they have them. They have them under their hooks now, and they control them, and they do whatever they ask them to do, of course, because they don't want those photos released, and all that goes with that. So that is, sadly, folks, that's how the world really works in a lot of ways. There is a tremendous amount of evil on this planet, unfortunately, and sadly, a lot of them end up in public service. So, but we're gonna continue to do our thing and let them do their thing, and we outnumber them. And I believe that if we continue to stick with the truth, then we're gonna defeat these scoundrels in the end. It's time for me to take a quick commercial break. I'll be back after these brief messages. CriticalDisclosure.com at NorthwestLibertyNews.com. I'm your host, James. I'll be back after these brief messages. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Heaven's Harvest Emergency Survival Food. Folks, as you can probably tell from watching the news, there's about to be a real big food shortage in this country. The trucker strike across the world, especially here in the United States and Canada, is going to stop the food from flowing in here. There's no better time than right now to plant a garden for this spring. Spring is just around the corner, and you can save on shipping over at heavensharvest.com by going to heavensharvest.com and typing in Jim at checkout. All you need to do is buy an heirloom seed vegetable kit or any food bucket and type in Jim at checkout, and you'll receive free shipping. Folks, don't wait. There's not much time left before the food supply is literally going to be shut down. We see this on the news every day. It's time to take your food security in your own hands. Do that by going to heavensharvest.com, picking up an heirloom vegetable seed kit, type in Jim at checkout. heavensharvest.com.
7K Metals is legacy. They help you leave a legacy for your family. Reasonable and affordable. Anyone can own gold and silver. It creates great generational wealth and residual passive income. No minimum or maximum order. 7K Metals has a Better Business Bureau A+ rating. It's about leaving a legacy for your family. It's about helping people. Now is the time to find out more information about protecting yourself. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. That's 406-855-2761. Today is a great time to buy gold and silver as a hedge against poor government decisions and potential economic collapse if history repeats itself. Take control of your financial future. Call Carla at 406-855-2761. 406-855-2761. Call now, 7K Metals, and ask about your legacy.
PatriotPrepared.com carries the leading brands of storable food from Legacy and Heaven's Harvest. Patriot Prepared. Our name says it all. We're dedicated to empowering you to be self-reliant and confident in any circumstance. Whether you want to be prepared in the event of an emergency or you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, PatriotPrepared.com has prepackaged meals and kits for your entire family. Legacy, Heaven's Harvest are known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. Simple to prepare, easy to store, gluten-free and organic high-quality nutrition options with a 25-year shelf life. You can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. So go to PatriotPrepared.com right now to pick up your supply of high-quality storable food for your family, because it makes good sense to be prepared. That's PatriotPrepared.com.
Okay, folks, thanks for hanging on with the break. I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, hosted by Brighteon Radio. That's brighteonradio.com, brighteonradio.com. And really quick note, if you have not got storable food yet, I just checked on the inventory yesterday. They still have food available. I don't know how long that's going to last. I really don't know. It could be a week, it could be 3 months. I have no idea. I do know that there is going to come a point when the grocery stores are going to be empty, and there'll be no food or little food or a reduced amount of food to eat. And it's time, if you haven't done anything yet as far as getting storable food, right now is a good time. Make sure you include water filtration. And as I always stress, it's not exactly a pleasant thing to discuss. But if you're going to buy storable food, you want to make sure that you have something that is going to handle the waste that is produced. Remember, there's always the full digestive cycle. Has to be taken into account when you buy any food, water, or anything like that. Don't forget a stove. So check all that information out. You get all that stuff at PatriotPrepared.com. That's PatriotPrepared.com. Okay, we're going to go and hit some of the news here and talk about some things going on. What we're going to do first, though, is we're going to recap an interview that I did a couple of days ago with the family of the grandfather of baby Cyrus, and we're going to Diego Rodriguez, and we're going to get over there. Let me get over here to the right window, and we'll bring up that article right here. We go. So this is freedomman.org/Cyrus, and this is the website that's advertised. I shouldn't say advertised, but listed on the article I wrote for Northwest Liberty News. There is Diego Rodriguez. He was just on my show here a couple of days ago. You can find that interview on northwestlibertynews.com or the Rumble channel. Believe that's the channel, or it's on actually BitChute as well. So let's give you an update here on baby Cyrus. Yes, baby Cyrus was kidnapped. This is a true statement. This is the press conference. You can see the press conference. I believe that this press conference was filmed by Casey Whalen. I believe it was. He was there anyway. I talked to Casey, and was supposed to have Ammon Bundy on my show Monday evening, but he was at that press conference. What was it? Monday night. There was a court thing. It was a court hearing, is what it was, and he didn't get finished until very late. He sent me a text, and I didn't even get it until the next morning. So we'll have Ammon back on again. He's just really, he's involved, as you can understand. He's involved. This are friends of his family. Diego Rodriguez is friends of his family. So they, he's got, he's going full force with that. So as of 3:08 p.m. yesterday, the hearing is over and will be delayed until tomorrow. We are going to debrief and update everyone later. Here's the 2:50 update. St. Luke's Boise Medical Center is no longer on lockdown and divert. The Boise Hospital has resumed normal operations and services are available for people in need of care. 2:51. One of Levi and Marissa's, and that's the parents of the baby Cyrus. One of Levi and Marissa's doctors in there now testifying on their behalf that they are good parents and that they did everything possible to take care of baby Cyrus. So what we're understanding is they don't know where the child is right now, is from what I heard. There's been reports that the baby has been taken to a foster care home outside of the hospital area there. I don't know. I actually spoke to Casey last evening, and he says they don't know where the child is right now. So I don't know where the child is. I hope it's safe, of course. I hope he's safe wherever he's at. I don't really feel very confident of him being in the clutches of Child Protective Services at all. But that's the latest update there. As I hear more, I will let you know. I will likely give Diego Rodriguez a call a little bit later on today. I think there's a press conference today, or they're actually there. I think the court case is probably kicking off here. They're probably in process right now. So I'll wait a little while and give them a call back. But I just wanted to give everyone an update on what's going on with that. It's a terrible situation. If you haven't had a chance to see the interview that I did with Diego, you should check that out again on those various sites. You can actually go on Northwest Liberty News. It's the first article there, I believe, one of the first articles. Click on that. The video's linked there. You can watch it there if you'd like. Okay, so on to more geopolitical issues here, and this is really a big deal. And I don't think people, because we're not really taught. We're dumbed down. We're not really taught really about the world and how it really works, and that's by design. People don't understand, I think, when they read this article here, what a big deal it is and how potentially devastating it could be. Saudi Arabia, this is a Wall Street Journal exclusive. Saudi Arabia considers accepting yuan instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales. Talks between Riyadh and Beijing have accelerated as the Saudi unhappiness grows with Washington. So what makes us able to have places like the dollar store, or before all this debacle, to have $2 gasoline, or to be able to buy a gallon of milk for $2.49 and a dozen of eggs for $1.75. What do you think is the reason that we're able to do all of that? One of the reasons is because the dollar is the world reserve currency. Now, one of the main attributes of that distinction is I believe it was the 19. That's why it's, well, me back up. That's the 1972, I believe it was. That was when Nixon took America off the gold standard, and we sort of moved into the petrodollar. Right, we struck up a deal with Saudi Arabia. They would only accept U.S. dollars for oil, and we would provide protection for them and put bases in Saudi Arabia to protect them from their enemies. Now, there's more details to that, but I'm just giving you the general idea. So what that meant was the dollar being the world reserve currency, and the deal struck up, Saudi Arabia at the time being the largest oil producer. Many countries in the world bought their oil from Saudi Arabia. Well, because of that deal with the dollar and the United States, if another country, Australia, let's say, for example, wanted to buy X amount of barrels of oil from however they denominated, a tanker full or however they denominated, if they wanted to buy large quantities of oil from Saudi Arabia, what they had to do first was they had to take their Australian currency, I believe it's called the Australian dollar, and they had to convert that to U.S. dollars and then purchase the oil. So understand that exercise right there, and I only used Australia as an example, but imagine 160 countries doing that. That keeps the dollar in demand. That keeps the dollar valuable, the U.S. dollar valuable, because people have to have it, or it's their reserve currency, meaning the money that a country has in savings, if you will, or put aside in reserve, is in U.S. dollars, largely because that's the main currency that you can buy oil with. So it's a dollar-denominated world currently because of that fact. When you see, and again, folks, you're a history teacher. I mean, look up this stuff and check into it yourself. This is general. I'm giving you the general overview. Investigate it, looking into it for yourself, and you probably find more information, because I haven't done a deep dive, but it may be a good deep dive to go to the bottom of all that. But I think it's relatively what I just stated is pretty much accurate. If it's inaccurate, it's not because it's on purpose. So what happens is when you see this story right here, where Saudi Arabia considers accepting yuan instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales, take a guess, and I don't have the number here, but just take a guess how much oil you think China buys. They have, what, 1 billion people? Let me refresh this page here, pardon me. They have, what, 1 billion plus 1.3 billion people in China? You think they buy a lot of oil in China? I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would submit to you that, yes, they do buy a lot of oil in China. And if they're going to be using the yuan now instead of the dollar to buy Chinese oil, this weakens the U.S. dollar, right? So basically what happens is if the dollar loses its reserve currency, you think prices are high right now. These are the good old days if that happens. It's just a matter of, look in other countries that have, I wonder if I can move this over here. Look in other countries that are not the dollar reserve currency. Okay, so I can't do that. They have, let me reset that. They have prices that are just outrageous for a lot of these things. I mean, this has kept us able to keep houses at a rate that have been affordable for people to start families and move in neighborhoods. And that if we lose the dollar reserve currency, folks, it's going to be a lot of pain. It's going to be a lot of pain for us here in this country, and we hope and pray that doesn't happen. We want to have a fair and level playing field, but we're going to have a boomerang effect when we lose a dollar reserve currency and that things go back the other way. It's not going to be good. It's going to be, inflation is going to go to the moon, like literally to the moon. It's not going to be good at all, to put it mildly. So this is a very important story. Keep an eye on this one. Keep an eye on this. Looks like I've lost the feed on Facebook. I don't know if there's connection issues today or what's going on. Perhaps the topic I'm talking about is not desirable for the AI, who I'm sure probably filters everything on the show. Looks like comments aren't showing up. Okay, well, we're going to continue to move forward. We got a hard network break coming up here, folks. If you're losing connections here, looks like there's some intermittent loss here on Facebook. Like there's something going on here to me, so I have no control over that. I'm just going to continue to broadcast. If you want to still hear the show, and you're having some issues with any of the video, you can go to the Rumble channel or go to brighteonradio.com. That's brighteonradio.com, and click on the button there, and it should start streaming this show live. At least that's, if everything's working right, it should. And I'm sure it will. I've never listened to it. Of course, I don't listen to the show while I'm on the show, because that would be a feedback loop, and I won't want to go through that. Okay, folks, we're going to take a network break, a 3-minute break, and we'll be back on the other side. We'll pick up some more of this news. I'm your host, James White, criticaldisclosure.com, northwestlibertynews.com. We'll be back after these brief messages. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging out to the break. I'm your host, James White. This is Critical Disclosure Radio, hosted by Brighteon Radio. We are on 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 to 12 Central Time, and I think it's 12 to 1 Eastern Time. Math's not my strong suit, but I believe I'm on with that. So thanks for tuning in today. We do appreciate you tuning into the show. We're on a variety of different networks, and you can find all of those links and everything I got going on over at libertylinks.io/Jim's Links. That's libertylinks.io/Jim's Links, and all that is underneath below on the video, I believe, along with my email. Send me an email if you need to chat with me. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pick up some of this news and information here and carry forward with what's going on. And, of course, with the caveat, I'm only able to give you the information as accurate as the information that I can find. And that is a very difficult thing these days. But we're going to try to overcome that and go forward. Okay, we know the dollar thing is bad. It's bad. European regulators, this is from Zero Hedge, European regulators tell banks to put Russian accounts under surveillance, even EU residents. European regulators tell banks to put Russian accounts under surveillance, even EU residents. In the latest alarming story that has a disturbing whiff of World War II era Japanese internment camps, some European banks are now surveilling all Russian and Belarusian clients to ensure they are not seeking to circumvent Western sanctions on Moscow. So what this really means, folks, is, well, it's not what this means. Generally speaking, we're seeing how when you have your assets tied up with some of these criminal organizations, they're just going to steal it from you or lock it away from you or freeze it. Now, can you imagine if we all go over to the digital everything, your one digital pass that has your vaccine status, and has your, government cryptocurrency all tied in and everything? I mean, literally, your whole entire life can be turned off, with a check in a box somewhere that you don't know, someone you never voted for, in an organization that has no oversight, is violating your Bill of Rights at a regular basis. This is the future for us, folks, if we don't stand up right now and say no and push back. And one of the groups that are doing that, and I see this MC, thanks for the tag there, or the post on Facebook, Tactical Civics. I'm going to be having, I actually reached out to Steve, and I'm going to be having him on the broadcast. I want to have him on the show. I believe he's the Montana director here for the director for Montana. And we're going to have him on the show to talk about Tactical Civics. But it's Tactical Civics and other organizations like the Constitutional County, which is growing with Kirk McKenzie and his organization, what he's got going on. I know this Bonds for the Win. These people are making some serious headway and getting some things done, and getting some of these draconian mandates, walked back or eliminated. So this is how it should be, folks. People should resist the tyranny. And again, as I've stated on this program, if I stated it once, I've stated it 100 times. No one has to be violent. No one has to break out any motorcycle chains, any chainsaws, any lead pipes, handguns, nothing. You don't have to do any of that stuff. All you have to do is just peacefully resist and don't comply. Just don't comply. Understand, for their power to be effective, there has to be compliance. When people stop complying, they lose all their power. Right? I mean, think about it, and my friend used to call these socks, he used to call them quitters. Your tube socks that all the tube part got blown out, and then they just slide down your leg. They just slid down your leg, and they just stood that you couldn't get them to work again. They didn't comply. The little tube things in there that kept it up on your calf didn't comply. They stopped complying. What happens? The whole everything collapses, and you can't get it to work back again because there's no compliance. I know that's a kind of a weird analogy, but the fact of the matter is, just say no. We're not going to put up with your shenanigans anymore. We're not your property, right? These people treat you like you're their property. Ask them, am I your property? If they say yes, say, well, prove it. What proves I'm your property? You're not their property. You don't have a contract with them that gives them the right to rule you like you are their property. I mean, this is the stuff that we have to continue to look into. This is the stuff that we have to press forward with these type of things. If you look at, I believe his name is Christopher James, a Warrior Calls. He's in Canada, and he's doing some fantastic stuff there in Canada. Using that similar type of language that I just used. Everything that they do is a con. They're service corporations. These are service corporations. And anytime a corporation Anytime any entity takes on the moniker or takes on the role of a corporation, then they have no more rights than any other corporation. This is Supreme Court ruling. I've done shows on it before and brought the actual Supreme Court rulings up. So I can find those files, and maybe I'll do another show on it again, or I'll use it as one of the segments that when I do another show. But it's clear. It's clearly stated. So technically speaking, if your city's incorporated, your county's incorporated, your state's incorporated, which they are, right? These agencies that lord over you and try to tell you what to do, they're incorporated. If they're incorporated, the Supreme Court says they have no more authority than any other corporation, meaning that they don't have any more authority than the manager of the McDonald's Corporation or the district manager for the McDonald's Corporation. What if he pulled up in a clown car and pulled you over and tried to write you a ticket? You would just drive away because you think it was a joke. Right? They're just not in clown cars. Right? I mean, otherwise, they have no authority. Right? They have no authority. Everything is a fraud. It's all a con. The reason that they get away with it is because no one challenges it. You remember that a fraud is not a fraud until someone points it out to be a fraud. So they continue with the fraud. People have no idea how duped we have been. So incredibly duped. So incredibly duped. I would encourage you to go on my channel, my Rumble channel, and look up Ron Gibson and watch. I don't even know how many videos I had. I mean, some of the videos I had of Ron had over 100,000 views on my YouTube channel. The ones on my Rumble channel, it's because it's a way newer channel than my YouTube channel. It doesn't have that many views, not even close. But the views of his videos, they've gotten 250,000 views perhaps in the aggregate on what, the stuff that he puts down. Go and check, if you can, go to the Rumble channel and check. You can find it again on that Jim's Links, on that libertylinks.io/Jim's Links. If you go there, you can go right to the Rumble channel and look up Ron Gibson and just watch those videos. I mean, I don't really talk much. He does most of the talking because he's got all the info. But it's really, it's what, it's the stuff that they have been hiding from you. Go look up the videos I did with Roger Sayles, Sayles. I did several interviews with Roger, and he talks about the state-national issue. And, if you're a citizen or if you're a resident, then you've just relinquished control to these people. Contract law, UCC, commercial code. I mean, these are all what the real law is, but these are the things that are kept from you, right? They have a service corporation that is treating you like their property. So there's a whole lot of education that needs to be done. I know people want to charge forward, and that's good. That's good. I think we do need those people that charge forward, but we also have to charge forward, with knowledge. That's the key. Again, folks, I think we still have Facebook for somehow freezing up, and I don't know why. It doesn't usually freeze up. It's usually pretty reliable. Again, I don't know if it's the topic that I'm talking about, if that's got anything to do with it, but yeah, the Facebook audience has just dropped off to almost none. So it's probably because they can't get in. So again, you can go over to the different platforms, and I apologize about that. I don't know why it keeps, locking up. Sorry about that, folks. Nothing I'm doing. I'm looking at my levels here. Everything seems to be running fine on my end. So at any rate, we'll just continue to move forward. Okay, so this is from Natural News, and we talked about this, had a segment on this, or I talked about this, I don't know, it was last week maybe. Israel declares state of emergency following cyber attack on government websites. Now we've discussed this before in America, and the general consensus is that, well, let's put it this way, one possible scenario, of course, because everything now is Russia, Russia, Russia. I haven't even had a chance to read this article. Are they saying that it's Russia? Who knows? But what is going to happen, I believe, is there is going to be some sort of a cyber attack, I predict, on the banking system, because they've stolen and looted so much of our wealth for so very long that it's going to be difficult for them. First of all, they'll never be able to pay off the debt. If you go to usdebtclock.org, I think is what it is, usdebtclock.org, and you can see the debt clock there spinning. Well, it spins about as fast as a slot machine, I think. You can see how fast that we're just continuing. Every dollar in your pocket is continuing to lose value. That's why I would encourage you to check out our sponsor, 7K Metals. We ran that commercial, and if you go on northwestlibertynews.com, you can click right on the banner there and go right to 7K Metals and get on a metals program. Israel declares state of emergency following cyber attack on government websites. This is, I believe, coming to a town near you, sadly. And this is just, I believe, this is I don't know if it's necessarily you'd call it a false flag, perhaps, but I believe what it's doing, it's getting people acclimated to this, right? It's getting people in America acclimated to the idea of massive cyber attacks, because I think they're going to cyber attack the bank accounts, the banks, and I think they're going to wipe them out, pretty much. And you're going to lose all your accounts. You're going to lose any values that you had that were on digits. I think those things are going to be hacked and taken, and they're not going to, you're not going to have any way to, there's going to be no tracking for the theft. There's the outright, overall, undeniable theft that's been occurring for decades and decades and decades. Well, look at 1913. So that's when the Federal Reserve Act was put into place, 1913, I believe. So it's been over 100 years now. They've been robbing us, and that's why I believe the dollar's worth about 4 cents compared to what it was back then. But I digress. Let's move on to the next story here. We got a few more left. I don't know if we'll get them all in. U.S. scrambles to cover up bioweapons lab in Ukraine. And hat tip goes out here to Josh Sergensen from World Alternative Media. The U.S. is now scrambling to cover up the confirmed biological weapons labs in Ukraine. After admitting that there are indeed biolabs in Ukraine, the U.S. government is now trying to weasel its way around the issue. USA admits there are biolabs in Ukraine and now says if a biological attack happens, it's Russia's fault. Of course, everything is Russia's fault. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, you slip on the ice out in front of your house and break your ankle. Of course, it's Russia's fault. We know this, right? We know this. This is preposterous. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hi, Mary. Yeah, it is. It is weird here with the connection that comes and goes. So yeah, we were in the double-digit viewers here earlier, and now we're down to 1. So, at any rate, that's okay. We're this really is a radio show. The primary broadcast is on BrighteonRadio.com. So that is my main concern, is to making sure that I get that broadcast out on Brighteon. Secondarily, and I've said this before, I said this right when I first started the show, all these other video feeds that I have and I link into, those are really sort of secondary or complementary to the radio. So I want to always, I have the connection to the radio that I have to put together here and make sure that works. And I always check that first to make sure that my connection to the radio, the Brighteon Radio, is working. So if the Facebook doesn't come across, or the Rumble, which occasionally happens, I think, or I forget to start the Podbean, which occasionally happens, something like that, That's not planned, and if that happens, I apologize in advance. But really, if you really want to make sure every single time you'll hear the show, I always make sure that I have the Brighteon Radio feed, and it's real easy. If you can go to Facebook, you can go to brighteonradio.com, and you can hear it there. I think Mike is going to be moving over to video, but I don't believe it's going to be like a live video. It's just going to be a still shot, but he's going to take, I believe, all of the broadcasts every day on Brighteon Radio. At least that's what he told me when I talked to him. They're working on that right now. I think they're going to take these Brighteon Radio broadcasts, and they're going to, put like a still shot of me or something or whatever they choose. I don't even know what it's going to be. But the audio portion will be, it'll be a still shot, but the whole audio will play on the video. So it'll be up on the Brighteon video platform. I don't know when, but we appreciate Mike and his team and all the great work that they're doing there. And he just continues to just lead the way with everything that he's doing. All of his video, his TV, video platform, his television, now the radio. I know he has Brighteon Social, and I think Mike's probably got some big plans for other things. He usually does. So, okay, let's move on here to a couple more stories here before we have to close out the show in about 5 minutes. Leftist reaction to Zelensky's speech. Let's go to war with Russia. Well, let me read this here. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Zelensky attempted to grab the ear of Americans by comparing the situation in Ukraine with Pearl Harbor on 9/11. It's a sad situation in Ukraine, but will the U.S. risk a nuclear war? We don't want a nuclear war. We want. You understand this? Zelensky is a puppet. He's put in place. He's a puppet. You know what a puppet regime is, right, folks? I mean, we've heard that term, puppet regime. It's when a country like the United States, mostly moves in, removes the current leader, and puts one of their own people in who is a puppet of the United States. That's called a puppet regime. This is not uncommon. This happens all the time. This is pretty much the rule. Again, if you want to really get an idea how that really works, then pick up a copy of Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. I highly suggest that book. I don't have it in front of me, but Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And you will be delighted that you did, and you'll get a really good education about what happens. So I'm glad that I mentioned a book, because I wanted to say, this is my friend Corey Lynn. She put out her book right here, The Global Landscape on Vaccine ID Passports by Corey Lynn. Corey's been on my show several times. She's a great friend of mine. We talk often. She is an unbelievable researcher. You can go to Corey'sDigs.com, 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 and you can pick up a copy of The Global Landscape on Vaccine ID Passports by Corey Lynn. This is my copy she sent to me, that is, it's signed with a nice personal note on the inside that I won't show you. But it's a very nice for her to send that to me here. I do appreciate that, and we support her wholeheartedly, and we hope that you will too. This is not a paid endorsement. She's just my friend. Global Landscape on Vaccine ID Passports by Corey Lynn. Go check it out over at Corey'sDigs.com. That's Corey'sDigs.com. And check out some of the articles she's got while you're there. She's a unbelievable researcher. Fantastic. Just fantastic. Top shelf. Top shelf. Okay, let's go over here and hit a couple more things. We only got about 2.5 minutes. So, you think Oklahoma, good old cowboys, a bunch of cowboys, a hard-riding cowboys, range-riding cowboys, yeah. University of Oklahoma dedicates full week to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It looks like the University of Oklahoma is going woke. Oh, brother. This is what our colleges have turned into today. This is, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. Thank you, Mary, for all your assistance. And by the way, Mary's doing a fantastic job kind of co-producing the show today. Thanks, Mary. I appreciate that. She's brought up a couple of great links and stuff I've talked about right there on the Facebook page, so go check it out. University of Oklahoma is going woke. So let's check out this next story here. Unbelievable, folks. After top Columbia doc suspended for calling a black woman beautiful, students still want him fired. We believe his permanent removal as a faculty member is also necessary. Despite an apology and suspension, Columbia University Irving Medical Center students still want a doctor fired for his controversial tweet that called a black woman beautiful. And this is what he said: "Whether a work of art or freak of nature, she's a beautiful sight to behold," he had said, referring to a photo of Nakeem Gatwelch, an American model of South Sudanese descent. So you can't, for crying out loud, you can't tweet something like that without risk of being fired from your job. This can't continue, folks. This is madness. This madness cannot continue. One more story. Biden to commit new military aid to Ukraine following Zelensky plea to U.S. for more support. You know what new military aid to Ukraine means? Funneling money through Ukraine, funneling money, washing money. That is what that means. That's code for we're running low on cash. We need to funnel some more money out of the military budget through Ukraine back into our black operations. That's my view. Folks, we're just out of time here on the broadcast. Thanks for looking in. CriticalDisclosure.com and NorthwestLibertyNews.com. We're here each weekday, 10 to 11 Mountain Standard Time. I am your host, James White. You can check out a variety of channels, Rumble and other channels. Until next time, this is James White for Critical Disclosure Radio, saying bye now.